Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on July the 12th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some good stuff for you tonight. And in case you hadn't, let's go ahead and click over here, Murtech on Rumble. In case you hadn't heard, I guess Lindsey Graham died suddenly. So I posted that in one of my extras. Vince Dow reported on that. And, Mitch McConnell's neighbor drops bombshell details on his absence. It's pretty amazing here what's going on with some of these rhino Republicans. But let's go ahead and get into this. This is what we're going over tonight, my episode 1976, my live stream. Let's go ahead and click on that. Let me go ahead and pause this. My episode. All right. Hi, Debbie BS and Viper Senior. Thank you very much for joining us. All right. I've got 38 chatters, unique chatters so far. So I'm halfway there. And it is just the 12th. So hopefully I can get another 37 more to get me to that 75 unique chatters for Rumble's program here for their studio. So let's go ahead and slide down here and click the show more button and expand. Let me close this out, folks. I'll get back with you, Viper Senior and WBS here in just a moment. Okay, we're going to start off with Andrew Klavan, DeVory Darkins, X22 Report, Mr. and Mrs. X, and Wendy Bell Radio, Weekends with Wendy. But before I get into that, I got a Lightning Tree brand. That's Truth Bomb Mary, incidentally. She gave me a heads up on a video that she had posted, but actually I had shared that on Murtech.com a couple of days ago, actually. All right, let's get into this. Q Team Rocks for Eva just started following my channel. Row 3 just started following my channel. Ong Noe just started following my channel. Quit just started following my channel. Leonardo Dantes just started following my channel. Cookie123 just started following my channel. Delep Singh Habhati, must be Irish, just started following my channel. Oster Cryptic just started following my channel. And Nona16 just started following my channel. Okay, so thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1975. Susie Poll 2016, Viper Senior, Debbie BS, and Cottonball 31 commented on my episode 1975. Lightning Tree Brand commented on my episode 1976, as you just saw. Debbie BS commented on my extra 758A. Cotton Ball and Debbie BS commented on my extra 758B. Cotton Ball 31 and MLM5 commented on my extra 758C. Also, right after I posted that, let me give this a thumbs up here. Thank you, folks, for your comments and reposting my videos. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give that a thumbs up. And right after I posted this comment, a couple of more notices came up where Stas Sour Savior just started following my channel, and WBS commented on my extra 758C. So thank you again, folks. I greatly appreciate that. So let me give this a thumbs up. And Viper Senior has given us a comment already. Good evening, fellow patriots. Where we go one, we go all. Rumble 4 tonight. Good job. Thank you, Viper Senior. Okay, let's get into this. Andrew Klavan, Crisis to the Left and Right, episode 1286. I'm going to play his monologue. Then I'm going to jump this up to about the 7-minute and 17-second mark. So let's go ahead and get into this. Crisis to the left and right. All righty.
Well, for the United States, the World Cup is over, bringing Americans welcome relief from a suffocating atmosphere of boredom that engulfed our nation like a gigantic bowl of green jello stretching from our Pacific coastline to the shores of the Atlantic, giving everything a nauseating imitation lime taste, not to mention staining the sky a vomitous shade of chartreuse. In the final game, Belgium defeated the United States. A sentence so nonsensical, it's almost an absurdist work of art, like one of those Salvador Dali paintings where a gigantic eyeball melts beneath a hole in the sky while elephants with spindly legs thrust their trunk tips into the clouds and trumpet the words, Belgium defeated the United States. As if that could actually happen in any situation besides a soccer game no self-respecting country should have been involved with in the first place. The final score was 4-1, meaning that in a game lasting about 90 minutes, there were exactly 5 half seconds during which you might have blinked and missed something semi-exciting, as opposed to the other 5,397 and a half seconds, which were as soporific as a Jimmy Kimmel monologue, although, of course, funnier. To give a brief recap of the action, a group of apparently grown men wearing shorts like a class of gay second graders ran from one end of the field to the other, some of them gingerly kicking a ball with their tiny tippy toes for no discernible reason, while others occasionally fell down and pretended to be hurt so they could leave the game because the boredom had become absolutely unbearable. Every now and then, someone would give the ball a really good kick, probably out of pure frustration, and then the announcer would become momentarily excited, or at least conscious, even though the kicked ball sailed past the goal by 11 feet. Then the second graders went back to prancing back and forth and falling down and generally being gay. The media have been trying to force this shading on our vibrant American sports team for years in hopes we would become more like Europe, namely a decaying former civilization where the old people die from not having air conditioning in the summer because having air conditioning wouldn't be good for the environment, as opposed to some old codger lying dead in his bedsit for 2 weeks before his grown-up children return from vacation and finally start to wonder how grandpa might be handling the 100-degree heat. The whole idea that America would stoop to competing against irrelevant Muslim hellholes like Senegal or Great Britain is already degrading. But now we're supposed to say something ridiculous like, good game, Belgium, instead of giving Europe a little reality check by carpet bombing Belgium, then waiting around a week or two to see if anyone notices that it's. Now, don't get me wrong. I would root for the United States to win any contest it was in. If the United States was in an international knitting bee, I would sit in front of the television shouting, "Pearl that yarn," or whatever the hell you shout at knitting people until America had taken home the trophy or the sweater. But of course, the minute we were out of the competition, I would gratefully take my skirt off and try to overcome my sense of shame and get back to enjoying real sports like basketball or Blood Rain 2. Anyway, for us, the World Cup is finally over, and I'm totally willing to let the whole embarrassing incident fade into the past, although I'd also be willing to round up any Americans who got swept up into this cavalcade of monotony and then shave their heads like the French did with women who slept with Nazis during the occupation. This is America, for crying out loud. When we call a game football, it's not because the players use their feet. It's because they've been hit so hard in the head by a 300-pound black man that they can't remember which part of their bodies they're supposed to use. So let's send the World Cup back where it came from, the world. We came here to get away from that. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
All righty then. Well, once again, I was confused about that, but Andrew Klavan cleared that up for me. So thank goodness for that. All right, here we go.
Klavanless week, which will then be the end of you. Let's get to today's episode, Crisis to the Left and Right. Now, there are some days when I have so much to say that I'm not sure how to put it in one show, how to organize it in one show. And this week is like that, partly because I had a revelation about what is going on with people, especially young people, as I went out to see all hot summer movies, which was a real change because there were new voices in these movies saying new things and getting away from wokeness and all this nonsense that's killed our arts and especially cinema for the last 5 years a lot, at least. And I don't want to talk about this too much because on Monday, Spencer Klavan and I will be talking about the whole summer history of movies this year on Klavan's on the Culture, which will be out. And we only have one more episode left after this on our contract. We have Mondays and then we have another one. And it's the best culture show anywhere. It is a great culture show. It's the best by a long shot. I mean, I've never seen anything else like it online. Tune in, watch it twice or 3 or 5 times, and then send it to your friends. Tell your friends to watch it. We need an audience. We want to get it renewed. And I'm telling you, I think it's a terrific show. But today here, I want to talk about what I'm going to call a crisis of imagination among young people that's affecting our politics on both sides, left and right. So we're going to talk about Graham Plattner. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk's alleged murderer, who is in pretrial hearings. And one thing we're not going to talk about is Israel and the Jews. We're not going to talk about Israel and the Jews. And here's the reason. I always tell you on the show, you get tomorrow news today. A long, long time, years before the current upsurge of anti-Semitism, which is on both sides among the young. You don't see it as much on the conservative side because older conservatives haven't been drawn into it, but young conservatives are getting very anti-Semitic behind the scenes. But it's really permeated the left. I mean, the left is just hateful toward Jews, and they pretend they're criticizing Israel, but that's a lie. So for years before this happened, I told you that anti-Semitism was the devil's flagpole. I would mention it from time to time, that it shows up wherever evil is making a play for our souls. Wherever you see, and I'm not talking about, oh, I don't like Jewish people, the usual thing where we all hate each other. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this conspiratorial, everything is the fault of the Jews. The Jews are the ones committing genocide, even though it's everybody else who wants to genocide them. All these kind of lies and just the hatred and the fact that this idea that, like you see in the New York primaries, that somehow New York life is going to be made better if the murderers in Gaza have their way with the world. That kind of real virulent anti-Semitism is the devil's flagpole because it marks where the evil is. And the reason that it does, and the reason it shows up wherever evil is making its play for our souls is because hating the Jews is really a stand-in for hating God, the God who spoke to Moses through the burning bush and then became incarnate in Jesus Christ. It's the same God, and that God is an imposition on Gentile culture. He doesn't fit in with a lot of our passions, our patriotism. It's nothing ungodly with being a patriot, but God is greater than your country, greater than your whatever your passions are, greater than even history or your life. And he gets in the way of us doing the things we want to do, like being cruel and not caring about the poor and caring about the poor and that make us feel good, but don't help the poor, like the left always does. And people want to get him out of the way. They want to get him out of the way. He makes them feel bad because they know they're not good people. We know we're all not righteous, and they don't like seeing that in the light of God. So, and by the way, Jews hate the Jews because of that. I mean, there's nothing. The Bible is filled with the Jews saying to God, "We don't want to be the Jews. We want to be like everybody else." That is the story, the history that is told in the Bible. Nobody wants to be controlled by God because it's difficult. It's a more difficult life. Yes, is it more joyous? Is it more righteous? Yes, it is. But it's a more difficult life. So the current upsurge of anti-Semitism began after a group of genocidal terrorists, Hamas, working for Iran and with Iran, slaughtered, raped, and mutilated 1,200 Jewish men, women, and children. This is October 7th, obviously, 2023, leading very screwed up, mentally damaged people like Daraliza Avila Chevalier, the Socialist Congress candidate in New York, and Tucker Carlson, to celebrate or minimize the mass murder and call the non-genocidal Jews genocidal. Now, I truly don't care what your opinions are about how Israel is governing itself. I don't care what you think about Ben Shapiro's yarmulke or anything else, or whether Ben should find I don't care what you think about this stuff. I'm just telling you that the minute we saw that support for rape and murder and that entrenched lie about Jewish apartheid and genocide, we should have known that the enemy of humankind was on the march in our beautiful country. And we should have known he's out there prowling like a lion and worming his way into the hearts of the young. So I'm not interested in the Jews, but I am interested in the devil. And he's invisible and we can't see him, but we can see his flag. And we're seeing it now on both sides. So let me just see if I can put this, which I think is a spiritual crisis, and as I call it today, an imagination crisis, a crisis of the imagination, see if I can put that into the context of this week's politics. All right, let's talk about ethos as a great way to buy insurance. When you're young, it's
Okay, let me get up past this commercial here. Here we go.
Chapter
Nazi is
1,
rapist.
the Nazi is a rapist. Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed that a man with a Nazi tattoo on his chest would also be unkind to women after he was accused by several women, suddenly? So this week, the Democrats were shocked to find that the Nazi tattoo guy who's been repeatedly accused of sexual harassment and assault, physical assault, was now being accused of something, I got to say, it falls within the rape category. I mean, it's a little bit on the edge, but still. So Graham Plattner, our famous, the author of Maine Camp, because he was running for Senate in Maine, had to end his run for the Senate after an ex-girlfriend named Jenny Roscoe told Politico and CNN that Plattner forced himself on her in a drunken, row that they had. Here's cut one: is Graham Plattner pulling out of the race with his heart breaking.
I have faced some very serious allegations, and I just want to make it clear, this is all false. We live in a political system that is not built for normal people. It is a system that is built structurally to make sure that movements like ours cannot flourish. And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations.
So he paused because the little heart beating under his Nazi tattoo was breaking. So here, and just to bring you up to date, if you've been paying attention, here is part of the Jenny Roscoe video. Her name is spelled Roscoe, but I believe it's pronounced Roscoe. And she describes Plattner comes over her house drunk. She was his girlfriend at some point, and he comes over drunk and and she doesn't want sex, and he keeps kind of pushing himself on her, and she struggles with him physically. And ultimately, he knocks something over. And here's she describing the end of that struggle. Cut 3.
The house that I live in has like this antique sewing kit that I kept beside the couch, and that got knocked over. He like backed into it, or something. It was maybe pushed into it by me, or something happened in that moment, and that thing got spilled. And
do you remember pushing him away?
I remember potentially pushing away with my legs, and then as he backed into it, it spilt, and all of the sewing needles and tape and yarn and everything went everywhere. Everything had fallen onto the floor. And in that moment, I evaluated my safety. Like, a drunk person who's blackout drunk is in my home, has these intentions with me, has already caused this amount of destruction and not listening to me. And so I basically felt safe as just complying.
So, I think that qualifies as rape. I guess it's date rape or something like that. I mean, a lot of men don't understand how terrifying an angry or drunken man is to a woman. But all of the people who endorsed Plattner, from Bernie Sanders on down, they all knew that this is who he was. Other women had come forward and said he'd gotten violent. The New York Times dismissed the worst charges because they came from Lindsay Fairfield, who was a conservative. And so she said he roughed her up, he bruised her, bent her arm. I mean, really bad stuff. And secretly took his condom off while they were having sex. And she says she gave the Times plenty of contacts that they could call to confirm that she had told people about this, and they would back her up, and they didn't contact them. And then they said, well, we couldn't confirm her story. So this New York Times, a former newspaper, they did a lot to cover this up.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, but this will be in my daily news wrap-up, so you'll get to see more of this. And yeah, the New York Times, as he puts it, a former newspaper, they're no longer should be considered a newspaper. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Andrew Klavan. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, and Plattner's out. Plattner's out. And Lindsey Graham is too. Okay, jumping back here. Let's see, we've got 18 people watching. I've got Viper Senior, Glow, GP Woco 01, and WBS chatting. Anybody else feel like jumping in there and let me know what's on your mind? Okay, DeVory Darkins. Pritzker stunned as Democrats after fraud scandal explodes. Okay, let's check this out.
This is breaking news.
More fraud. Amazing, huh?
Another Democrat has been indicted for corruption, fraud. We're talking about a Democrat out of the state of Illinois who took campaign donations, used it for personal use, and directed state grants to organizations which paid the salary of her daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, More corruption under J.B. Pritzker. Let's get into this story now.
Another Illinois public official federally indicted for alleged corruption. This one, a downstate Democratic lawmaker, and it comes as another Democratic state lawmaker was forced to step down. NBC5's Paris Schutz in studio with us tonight with more details.
Yeah. Not Andrew Boutros up here, but State Representative Carol Ammons and her husband, they're facing an 11-count federal indictment. Some of her alleged misdeeds, self-dealing, steering state grants to a family member, and lying to the FBI.
On her website, Ammons identifies herself as a, quote, leading voice for fairer justice system in Illinois. She helped pass legislation like the Safety Act that did away with cash bail.
Pause. Safety Act. Oh, the Safety Act that led to criminals being released back onto the street and committing murder. That act, the one that J.B. Pritzker defends, but the people of Illinois, they get the short end of the stick with these fatal outcomes. That particular act, it seems like she never read it or didn't do her due diligence because she was too busy defrauding the state government, if you know what I mean.
Here she is in 2015 advocating that she and other lawmakers get a cost of living raise.
I suggest the Republicans, every last one of you, till you give your paychecks back to the state. And those of us who need to pay our meager little living, that we should pay our meager living and you give yours back.
But today's election.
She sounds like Zora Mondani, who was just caught doing the same thing with his own city council, a 20% pay raise, just so you guys understand. The man who cries all about the wealthy not being able to pay their fair share. He has a funny way of showing it in real time what that means to him.
11-count indictment alleges Ammons enriched both herself and her family through her legislative work to the tune of around $100,000. In one scheme, prosecutors say Ammons steered $600,000 in state grants to a prison reform group called Hood Vote. Hood Vote employed Ammons' daughter in violation of state conflict of interest rules.
Now, if she is doing this at that level, imagine what's happening in other areas of politics, whether it is NGOs or USAID. Okay, a lot of people don't really realize how far the corruption really goes. I mean, it's just a conflict of interest everywhere you go or everywhere you look. And when your daughter's on this particular organization getting paid, sooner or later that's going to come back on you. That's what Gavin Newsom's wife is dealing with right now. I mean, the state paid a nonprofit that she was on the board on money. I mean, if that's not conflict of interest, then what is? And by the way, she was the only member of the nonprofit, just so we're clear. Yeah, so I'm not shocked.
According to the indictment, Ammons later steered the money to a company called Bridgewater Sullivan Community Life Center and, quote, assisted Bridgewater in drafting her daughter's employment contract with Bridgewater.
So she was taking care of her daughter. I mean, are we really shocked? Now, remember the date here in case you didn't catch it. August of 2021, okay, up to May of 2023. That is peak COVID. Okay, so you know they probably got those stimulus checks. I don't know if they got a PP loan or whatever other grants they were able to pull off, but clearly they were milking the system for their own personal gain, while the people of Illinois, who have legitimate problems, by the way, where were they at? Where was she at to actually help them? Okay, so at this point in time, if you've been getting value from our channel or this video in particular, hit that like button. When you do that, the video is going to be promoted to more people so we could share the show. And speaking of that, share this show with your family and friends and make sure you are subscribed. Thank you for checking out the video today. Okay, so why don't we go to her reaction here? Because of course she has a way of spinning all of this, and I think you know what excuses she's going to use.
Justice requires courage, and freedom requires that we claim the right to determine our own future. For all of you who have said, I am so grateful. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't be. Instead, I'm in Ghana continuing the work of reparations to repair the harm of ethnocide through the African Kinship Reunion Project.
So let me get this straight. She's spending time in Ghana, Africa, just like Karen Bass did, instead of serving her own constituents. Misplaced priorities, clearly. I mean, I don't think this stuff is rocket science, by the way. I mean, the worst thing a leader can do is not be there for their subordinates. I mean, this is leadership 101. Why is she over there? I have no idea. Okay, so bottom line to this major update is you have another Democrat out of the state of Illinois committing fraud, corruption, and no wonder that state is struggling. And we're not even getting to Mayor Brandon Johnson at the moment, who spends $30 million a year on his own private security. Yeah, think about that for a second. Okay, so this is our sanity report. We're going to kick things off with Nick Fuentes, who's finally seen the light about American politics, that the Republican Party is the best option moving forward. And as we go through this segment, I'm going to be reacting to all of these clips and giving them a grade. Let's hear what he had to say.
The Republican Party remains the only viable vehicle left for people like us. Think about the contrast. I understand that Trump frustrates a lot of us for obvious reasons. The war in Iran is downright unacceptable. The cover-up of the Epstein files, pushing Massey out of the race, this stuff is awful. We're not getting what we voted for. But when you contrast it with the other side, on the other side, they're saying abolish ICE, abolish.
You know why I'm laughing? Because we say this every day on the show. Democrats, batshit crazy. Republicans, incompetent. I think the choice is simple, okay? I know the Republican Party is not always going to do what they're supposed to do. I find them to be slow, incompetent. Some policies absolutely don't make sense. I think they sell out to big corporations, things of that nature. And it seems like they can never get away from a good war, right? Those things are true. But what they're not going to do is mandate vaccines. What they're not going to do is abolish ICE or defund the police or go after your parental rights or mandate vaccines, right? Or kick service members out of the military because or censor you off social media. That's not what they're going to do. But Democrats will do that. So I'm happy Nick is finally seeing the light. This is a man months ago who said, I'm going to vote Democrats in the midterms. I wonder what changed.
Abolish borders, defund the police, indigenous rights and land acknowledgements and queer liberation and abortion on demand. What do I love? Transgender kids. When do I want them now? Like, this is what's going on the left. And so what we need to recognize is that the right is going to be the vehicle. It is going to be the institutional vessel and vehicle. That is the constellation of donors, the party machinery, media apparatus, and so on and so forth. That is going to be the space that we inhabit. That is going to be the container.
All right, let's take a moment and talk about something serious. How many of you guys have been punished because of your credit? What am I talking about? You're out, even though you are to Act 23 individual. In my opinion, the funniest commentator out there. He makes a lot of sense. His own problem, though, is he leads with identity. And it's just unfortunate that he does that, but that's who he is. And when you lead with identity, you get vulnerable to some woke ideas like, I'm going to vote for Democrats in the midterms because I'm upset at what the president's doing. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, maybe he said that for clicks. Maybe he really meant it in time, and everybody deserves to change their mind. So, it is what it is. But you know what? This is how good I'm feeling today. Nick Fuentes, you get an A+ in my book for seeing the light. All right, let's go to our next clip. This is James Tallarico going all the way back in time. And this one right here, really, it's stunning stuff. So he comes out, and this is a Christian, by the way. He says Islam and Christianity are the pathway to truth.
Thrilled when I get invited, to the Diwali festival. I think I've gone 2 years in a row now. And, also have gotten a chance to speak at some of our local mosques. And I find such wisdom and comfort and inspiration from faith traditions all over the world. And I find that they're all kind of equal pathways to truth. That's how I think, I always think of all of the world's faith traditions as like a circle with, that divine mystery of the universe in the middle. And we all have different names for that. I'm always so thrilled when I get invited to the Diwali festival. I think I've gone 2 years in a row now. And, also have gotten a chance to speak at some of our local mosques. And I find such wisdom and comfort and inspiration from faith traditions all over the world. And I find that they're all kind of equal pathways to truth. That's how I think, I always think of all. I'm always so thrilled when I get invited to the Diwali festival. I think I've gone 2 years in a row now. and also have gotten a chance to speak at some of our local mosques. And I find such wisdom and comfort and inspiration from faith traditions all over the world. And I find that they're all kind of equal pathways to truth. That's
Okay, so let's talk about the truth of Islam, right? Which is an ideology that believes no other faith can exist outside of itself. They actively encourage the eradication of any religion that is an opposite to Islam. They also want to see the end of Western civilization. These are not my opinions. These are objective facts. This is in their messaging, in their training. Okay, it's how they are brought up. So why would you equate Christianity to Islam, especially when you're talking about people who treat women the way that they do, treat children the way that they do? It's just not even a comparison. But this is what happens when you're dealing with people who really don't understand Islam. And I think that's the problem in America is we all have an opinion, which no problem there. Everyone has a right to voice however they feel. But I think it's very important that if we're going to have a strong opinion about something, we owe it to ourselves to truly understand it. I don't think that's what's happening, especially in this.
I think,
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. There's like 9 minutes left in this video. I'll include this in my daily news wrap up. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from DeVory Darkins. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And boy, the chat's going wild. All right, I got 25 people on here. Anybody else want to join besides Debbie BS and Viper Senior and Glow? EP Wilco 01? All right, let's slide down here. Let me know what you think, folks, of this information that I'm sharing with you. X22 report, Mr. and Mrs. X. Trump makes a move on birthright citizenship. Sometimes you need to show the people. Episode 44. Let's check it out. Now this is
I would like to welcome.
This is Rumble Premium here, premium only. But since I have Rumble Premium, I can share it with you. In the event that you don't have it, you can see it right here, and this will be in my daily news wrap up as well. So let's get going.
Mrs. X.
Hey everyone.
So, in the past couple of weeks, we've seen the Supreme Court. They ruled against birthright citizenship, and they're letting everyone know that you can just have a baby here, give birth, take that baby back to your country, and you can raise that child in a different country, and they can vote in this country. And basically, they'll have no history of the United States.
Nope.
They'll have no knowledge. They'll have no culture. They'll have nothing.
But they have all the rights and privileges of a citizen as if you were born here.
Right.
It's crazy.
I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous.
And why birthright citizenship? And let's go back in history a little bit about explain, because this was confusing to me because I didn't know this was a thing until recently, until it really was brought to light with the Trump administration. But like where the foundational place of birthright citizenship, like how it's a thing, because everyone keeps trying, and this is what the Supreme Court was ruling, and actually there was dissension amongst the justices about what birthright citizenship really means and how it was intended when it was written into our Constitution, into our rights. And I think it goes back to slavery, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
That is correct.
So do you want to help us elaborate? Because I know you know more about this than, than I do.
I mean, when you read Justice Thomas's dissent,
he's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, basically, this was all because of slavery and those people that have been living in this country, those people that are part of this country, that they were born into this country,
help build this country.
And, right. So basically, it was telling them that, hey, you are allowed to be a citizen of this country.
Because they came from another place, and at that point, they were property before the Civil War, right? So then they were granted that now you have a country. Now this is your home because you've made this your home. You don't know anything else because this is where you had your children, your family, but your country is America. And that's how I believe it came about, correct?
Right. I mean, in a simpler way to understand it, if you invite someone over to your house, into your home, they're not part of your household because
they're visiting.
Right. They're a guest.
They're a guest.
Yes.
So basically, they're not part of your family. They're not part of your home. They're not part of anything. And that's what they ruled in saying that, yes, if somebody just gives birth here, they're part of the United States, even though they're not a citizen. The parents have never grown up here.
Right.
They didn't apply for a citizenship. Nothing.
Well, what's more scary is, and I didn't realize this was a thing again until recently, this is a business.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
people have created a business where they advertise and they say like, oh, okay, go to America, give birth there, and then your kid has citizenship. And then they pay this money to this organization, almost like a travel agency of sorts, that like gets you into America so you can give birth when you're close to giving birth. And it's really, there's billboards literally in Mexico, I believe. I think President Trump put it up, was very upset about this. He wants the Supreme Court to immediately revisit this birthright citizenship because they are actively in Mexico right now. There are billboards up inviting citizens who are of Mexico that are pregnant to come into the United States so that they can get citizenship because the Supreme Court just upheld it. So now they're doubling down and advertising for this to happen, which is absolute insanity.
And what's very interesting about all this is reminds me of the open borders. I mean, going back in time when Trump said, they're going to be bringing in terrorists, drug traffickers, human traffickers, gang members, cartel members.
Yeah.
And of course, the other side said, no, it's the dreamers. It's the people that want a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Everyone else got a chance. And of course, during that period of time, during his first administration, there were a lot of people that were against the wall. There were a lot of people against having a closed border.
Yeah, they said he was racist.
Right. And so basically what Trump had to do, because again, when you explained it to someone, you really don't get it. So what he had to do is he had to show everyone during the Biden administration, look, this is what happens when you have open borders. Look who they're bringing in. Look what happens to the country. And then people started to realize, holy crap, this is terrible. We're paying all this money. They're destroying our cities.
Yeah.
They're using all the resources. There's
murdering
crime
our citizens,
everywhere.
raping our
right.
Yeah. Well,
so now, I mean, yes, he can explain it to everyone over and over and over. But until you understand that, look, this is just like you said, this is a business. There's billboards and there's actually birth packages in South Texas.
It's like a travel agency.
Natural birth is 3,950. C-section is 5,252. So basically, think about the open borders. This is now open borders on steroids.
Yes.
If you really want to think about it, because now what they're doing is all the pregnant people from Russia, from
anywhere,
all the Middle Eastern countries, from South America, all the pregnant people.
It's an open invitation.
All they have to do is sail to this country.
Or fly.
Or fly.
You're getting old school there.
Yeah, I guess I am. Or take a raft.
Are they taking the
right? And basically, all they have to do is get into the country and give birth, and basically, they're good to go. All their children, are now citizens.
Yeah,
and then instead of staying here in this country, they're going to take their children back to those countries and teach them the Sharia law way.
Yeah, not American.
Teach them how to be a criminal or whatever, or they become criminals, and then across the globe, they can actually vote in the elections.
Yes, because they're a citizen.
Because they're a citizen. And then they can come back to this country and then they can get into government. Wait, isn't that what we're seeing now?
Yes.
We're seeing the infiltrators in government
who do not care about the American way of life at all.
This is what President Trump has been arguing about. This is what the actual justices, the other ones are BS justices. They were installed into position.
100.
Remember, this is a criminal syndicate. And again, just doesn't matter if you're Democratic or Republican. It makes no difference. It was a uniparty. So they put the people in that they wanted. And when you have Sotomayor, when you have
Ketanji,
Brown Jackson,
and Comey, what is it, Coney?
Yeah,
Amy
Coney Barrett.
There it is.
I mean, you have to remember these people. They were installed in these positions. Now, people are going to go, well, no, Trump chose this person. No, Trump did not choose this person. Actually, there's another organization that actually made the decision during his first term of these are the people most qualified to go into the Supreme Court. They are still part of the criminal syndicate system. And they handed Trump this person, just like they handed him the FBI director.
Mm-hmm.
They handed him DHS. They handed him DOJ. They handed him everyone because again,
round,
it was
yes,
the first in his first term, because that was part of the system. The second term, which is I call 2.0, basically in this administration, he said, no, you're not giving me anyone. I'm picking my own people.
Yeah.
I don't need your help. I don't need you to decide. I don't need these organizations. I don't need any of this.
And the difference is very obvious.
So the people that are in the Supreme Court, most of those people do not follow the rule of law. And I think people are now starting to see it when you start to look at the decisions that some of these people make. Because again, it's not based in the rule of law. And if you look at Supreme Court Justice Thomas, what did he do? He wrote a 91-page dissent. Now, why would he have to do 91 pages against what they ruled on? Because again, he's letting everyone know they're not following the Constitution. They're letting everyone know they're not following the rule of law. He's letting everyone know that this will be used to overturn this ruling.
That's what I was going to say. I think that it's no surprise. And I think in light of this, because now President Trump has demanded, after seeing these billboards in these other countries and what's happening, that he's like, wait a second, now there's new evidence to light. Like, this is a thing, actually, this birth, and they're taking advantage. It's a loophole that they found to take advantage and get citizenship. And I think you're right. I think they're going to use Thomas's dissension, his 91-page statement, to really revisit this. And I think it's going to be hard for them to argue at that point, even if they are involved in the deep state, because the optics are going to look really bad when you're seeing that there's actual evidence from other countries that this is a business.
Oh, and this will expand as time goes on. If they just allow this, you think it's just one billboard?
No.
There'll be thousands in every single country, and we'll have thousands of people heading to this country just to give birth.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here. And, this always, stuff like this really baffles me. Okay? Now, these Supreme Court justices, these judges, they have families of their own. Okay? And, they're going to make a decision like this, which is potentially going to harm the benefits of their own children when they grow up. So I don't understand. I mean, if you have millions of people that come here and give birth, and then that child is then a citizen, they go back to their own country, don't contribute anything to this country, and then start drawing benefits like welfare, food stamps, Social Security. These justices, are they that intercoursingly stupid? Or they just don't care? Or they just want to destroy this country? Is that what I don't get it. I don't get it. And the same thing with these in the sky, when they do the cloud seeding or the chemtrails. They're, I don't know who's doing this. But when they're putting these chemicals in the air, don't they realize that that's affecting the air that they breathe too? I don't understand. Is it like a suicide mission or what? I don't get it. They will do anything, even destroy themselves, in order to destroy this country or the world. I just don't get it. Help me out, folks, in the chat or the comments. Let me know, because I'm baffled here. I just don't understand how people can do things, make decisions that will affect themselves detrimentally, and they just do it. I don't get it. Okay, this will be in my daily news wrap up. Let me click the Rumble link here and show you that this video
Just to
does
give birth.
come from Mr. and Mrs. X. This is the video I shared for you, X22 report. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty, let's jump back here and see what we got going. Okay, I've got 25 people watching and 3 people chatting. Amazing. It's a pretty good percentage, I guess. Okay, Wendy Bell Radio, Weekends with Wendy. Let's see what she has to say.
Do you have sweatpants too?
What?
You have sweatpants too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you are. It's like you're all bundled up. Is it cold outside?
No, it's just I don't. It seems when it's like when you use the word you don't like moist air outside, the bugs. So I just keep my legs
Yeah.
covered. Anywho,
Well, good morning, everybody. So weird about Lindsey Graham.
no 20-minute phone calls with anyone before he passed,
Brief illness. Yeah, it was called poison.
or bomb, or
Right?
hurry up, let's change the narrative away from Mitch McConnell.
Is there somebody else we can knock off? And then Trump posts like one of the best senators ever. He says that about Lindsey Graham. And I'm like, I've never once thought that about Lindsey Graham. I've never once looked at him and been like, that man.
That's the epitome of
That's
patriotism.
that man of mine. He votes the way I do. Right? I want to find what Trump said because it was almost ridiculous.
Let me see if I can find it. You keep talking.
No, I can have fudge. Trump. I'll put in Trump on X. I'm sure it won't get me a lot of different things.
Here it is.
Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the greatest people and senators I've ever known, is dead. He was always working and was a true American patriot. Lindsey will be greatly missed. Details and arrangements to follow. So sad. One of the greatest people and senators I have ever known.
Well, figure half of the senators he's known have been liberals, so.
So yeah, doesn't that seem just. So he was in Ukraine. Dude.
Why?
Pass the effing Save America Act. Why are you going to Ukraine? What are
In
you
a
doing in
factory for
freaking
drones?
Ukraine? Right?
Gotta keep the grift alive.
I don't get it. Like, one of these things is not like the other. And then Mitch McConnell, apparently, that Desiree Townsend, she's getting on my nerves. But she's she's got a new.
Wait a second.
She's got a new.
No, now let me explain to everyone. Once Wendy finds something about you,
No, that's not true. It's her delivery. It's her delivery. It's difficult.
It affects everything you think about her now. It's Sean Hannity with the rustling of the papers. And you ruin it for everyone else because you say it, and then everyone focuses on it, like me in the paper rustling now. I can't stand it. So Wendy's ruined me a few ways. Well, let's talk. Let's realize how Wendy has ruined me in a few ways. She's ruined me with interviewers, like listening to an interview. She's ruined me with the paper wrestling. What?
Why would I?
Because I started really paying attention to how people interview. And now it's like, I'll hear an interview, but come speak, for God's sakes. Like Sean Hannity asks a question, and I know I pick on him all the time, but he just does it all the time. They'll start the little bumper music under him, and he'll ask a question. And then as soon as they start to answer, the music starts getting louder and louder and louder while they're answering it. Like, your out times. Don't do that shit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it's just her. It's the whole like news delivery thing. And the thing as a former reporter that I like about, just say even Nick Shirley, he's wearing a hoodie. He's walking up to people. He's not delivering, Emmy award-winning performances. But that's not what news is supposed to be. It's supposed to be information. And they've, for well too long, worried about what people look like and carved out the cookie cutter news delivery. And it's terrible. So anyway, she's annoying, but she's done a good job. She's still there at the hospital. And Mitch, apparently his convalescence, he's truly been remarkable.
Yeah. He's now up and doing physical therapy just after having cardiac arrest. put him on the treadmill, see how he handles it. You know, he can't handle walking down the halls of Senate, but let's give him physical therapy.
So here's my question. I guess Caitlin Collins yesterday tried to put the screws to Scott Jennings. Maybe we can find that, Brock. AK, maybe you can find that, Brock. And she was like, it's just like these things aren't adding up. So my question to you guys is, how do they kill off Mitch McConnell and let Barrasso, Thune, to a lesser degree, Thomas Massey and Scott Jennings save face? Because they all were like, oh, I had a 20-minute conversation with him. It's like, how do you kill him now?
Are you
Well,
sure
we
it
thought
was
he was
Caitlin
doing great.
Collins?
I think so.
I mean, folks, it's the same thing as it was with Biden. You know, having these 20-minute conversations, he couldn't talk for 5 minutes on the Senate floor. How's he having these 20-minute conversations and talking about Ukraine and talking about this and talking about that? And, you know, just like you and I would be having a conversation. Yet, time after time, you see clip after clip of him just like freezing up and not acting like he doesn't know where he is or, you know, what's going on right in mid-sentence. So, I mean, I'd have to see it to believe it. There is this thing out there called AI. And, you know, I've seen it generate videos of a particular person, an actor, and voice. The voice sounds, you know, just like the particular person or actor. So I wonder if that could be something, if an audio AI could have been put together. I don't know.
It was, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
No, it's fine. That's fine. Anyway, I think that this whole mess is, the Democrats are having their own issues with the Graham Plattner stuff and the Gavin Newsom stuff and all the things that are going on with them. And then we just have people who are dead or who were assassinated or whatever. And we can't get I believe nobody. Do you guys really believe Lindsey Graham passed away because of a brief illness? Brief within the last several hours? Because he just got back. He wasn't even home for 24 hours before he died. I don't know. Yeah, Mama J4, they say.
CNN.
Hmm?
CNN is saying that Scott Jennings' phone call. CNN statement makes clear Scott Jennings' Mitch McConnell report is not networks reporting.
He done messed up, AA Ron.
AA Ron, yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. What would okay, one of two things happened. One, they got somebody who sounded like Mitch McConnell, some computer of his voice, to have a conversation with Scott Jennings and these other people. Two, they're all in on it. Which one is it? He either knows and was told this is what we have to do, and he's like, okay, which is an extraordinary risk, or he's just a dope who took a phone call allegedly from his old friend Mitch and didn't ask any of the pertinent questions that anybody, particularly somebody in the media, would ask. So Mitch, tell me what happened.
He didn't ask what a friend would ask. That's what gets me. He didn't ask what a friend would ask.
What do you need?
Because if you have a heart attack nowadays, someone's not going to be like, oh, I can't tell you because of HIPAA. They're going to be like, I had a heart attack. I just had this pain and I went down. Next thing I know, I'm in the ambulance. Like, no, we talked about Ukraine. Ukraine. I wonder if they were talking about Lindsay flying over there. I mean, I'm not making fun. I'm trying not to make light of anyone's demise. but like,
It's
don't
just,
piss on
you're
my
not
leg and tell me
believable.
it's raining. Yeah. I don't believe it. I don't. And you know what? Maybe that's my tinfoil hat, but if you can't tell me he's your mentor, he's your old friend, and
But you
ask
didn't ask
nothing
about
about the simplest question, what happened?
Or you know what I would provide? I'd
I
provide the accompanying nuance. His voice sounded a little weak. He sounded tired. But you can't say that because then the Cassie Hunt or whatever would be like, "Well, did he tell you what happened?" And then you'd have to be like, "Yeah, no, I just
which is why he
didn't
jumped
ask."
in and we played it. When he jumped in and says, "Well, if you want to be mean and" I can't remember what
Ornery.
he says, "ornery about it," then we're asking if he's dead. What's mean about that? Like,
She was just saying, you were very critical of who was he critical of? Oh, Lloyd Austin.
which he
She's like,
was. We all were.
Scott, yeah. So Lloyd Austin is the head of the department, the Defense Department, and he's MIA getting prostate cancer treated. Like, is that kind
Here's
of
the
important for everybody to know? But then again, we have Joe Biden who's in his
but
hyperbaric chamber.
here's where she really could have nailed him to the wall, and she didn't. And I think it's because he pulled the liberal card.
The
Is
emotion.
yes, she should have said, "Well, he was forthcoming. We do know what happened. We do know all that, but we know nothing about Mitch."
Yes. Make that make
She
sense,
messed
Scott.
she messed up when she said they're both elected officials. Lloyd Austin is not an elected official. She
Yeah, you
screwed
guys
up
got in the
in her
weeds.
argument. Yes.
You went down a different path when you were right there at the right intersection.
But the
And there was
worst thing you
probably a
can
flock camera watching her while she was doing
yeah,
that.
but the worst thing you can do when you're arguing a point is give it any misinformation, because then he can jump on that. Well, Lloyd Austin isn't an elected official, or Lloyd Austin was appointed. Like, he
Yeah.
can easily change the topic of what the F is wrong with Mitch.
So Laura Loomer sends out this, and this is interesting from Jonathan Turley. He's like, this is where the rubber meets the road. When the Senate is back in session Monday, Ted Cruz will chair the Rules Committee because of McConnell's absence. There are procedural moves he can make to advance the Save America Act. Is Cruz one of us? We're about to find out. So this is a
Oh, wow. That's going to be very interesting to track that. Okay, this is going to be in my daily news wrap up. Let me click the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I'm following her channel. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And a lot of great chats. Let me go ahead and copy these in. Whoa, look at that. Copy these into a comment. Close that out for the time being. Oop, there we go. Here we go. Okay. Alrighty then, and let me remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. I've got a link here in the description box for the video and a link to the producer's channel if you want to go check out more information that they have. These videos that I share with you, I've also posted on Murtech.com. Before we move on, I do want to share a little bit of information here from Trinova Health. Okay, we got some pretty good stuff here.
AccessMed powered by Trinova Health is a revolutionary telehealth service that offers fast, free online evaluations and free home delivery of customized compounded medications offering custom weight loss support, ivermectin therapy, hair restoration, cosmetic rejuvenation, custom ED treatments, and more.
You can complete your visit in less than 10 minutes, and there's no subscriptions or recurring fees, ever.
We've made getting started easier than ever. Simply follow the link. Choose the product or treatment you're interested in, and then complete a quick online evaluation.
Within days, your custom meds will arrive to your door. Mention Rumble in the coupon code and get 10% off your first treatment.
Okay, I'm over here at Murtek's Daily News Wrap-Up. My playlist here, it says I have 22 videos in here, probably about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. We're going to finish that DeVory Darkins video and finish up Wendy Bell, Andrew Klavan, X22 Report, We the People News, Matt Morse TV, The Sean Spicer Show, also Mel K, Black Conservative Perspective, and we know a ton of great information here, folks. Don't miss this. But in the meantime, go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or maybe even a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Let me get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll get this going for you. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.